You know you love me. It's your girl Miko Love. Welcome back, everybody, to the M word. So, you guys, today I asked on my Instagram. Once again, if you guys are not following my Instagram, it's the_M_word. Make sure you guys go follow because I ask questions and I do like polls and like I get opinions on different stuff. So I asked what videos some of the people who are following me would like to see. One that I got was a video about my HBCU experience. Obviously okay, like say less, say no more. I'm about to do it. Okay, so obviously this is what this video is going to be about, my HBCU experience. I've said it before, I'll say it a million times again, and I will keep saying it, honey. I graduated from the Grambling State University in 2020. I transferred there in 2017 fall, and yeah, that's where I got my degree from. Super happy that that is where my degree is from. Like, wouldn't want to do it any other way. So just to give y'all a little bit of background, I graduated high school in 2015. So originally, like, I thought that I was gonna go to the University of Kansas, got accepted, like moved down there, like all that stuff, you know. One thing that I realized being from Colorado, they didn't push like HBCUs on us because it's just not that, you know, that they really mainly pushed like the schools that are in Colorado, like Boulder, UNC, Fort Collins, like all of those schools. They really pushed those on us, or they pushed like Kansas, or I want to say Arizona State was the other school that like we pretty much heard the most about. I don't know if that was due to like that's where a lot of the previous students from my high school ended up going, and that's like what worked out for them. I don't know how they like came up with those schools outside of just Colorado, but other than them being like neighboring states. But anyways, so I chose to go to the University of Kansas. Now I will tell you guys, Grambling was never on my list. I didn't even know Grambling existed, like I won't lie. I knew about HBCUs, but not to the extent that I know about them now. I did actually apply to an HBCU when I was in high school, and I didn't even know it was an HBCU. It was Morgan State. I had applied there, and I was like, oh yeah, like Baltimore sounds fun. Like I was like, okay, cool. But I didn't actually obviously end up picking that school. I did get accepted though. Don't play on my name. So I went to Kansas. That got messed up. Financial aid didn't come through, whatever. Like, I was new at it. I didn't really know much about financial aid. I am a first gen, so nobody in my family really knew too much about financial aid, and it was kind of just like kind of trying to figure it out, and it didn't work. So I left Kansas to come home, and I went to community college for about a year, about 2 years. About 2 years I went to community college. I will say that that actually was really cool for me because the community college that I went to was like in downtown Denver. So you know, I would catch the train to school, and like I had a couple people who I would like speak to, and it was kind of cool, and it was like still getting me out there but not getting me out there. I wasn't like a whole bunch happy about it just because everybody I was in school with at the time was like 30 years old, like with kids and like serious jobs, and I'm like fresh out of high school, like where the party at? Like, you know. So I kind of just started to feel like, oh, like, and then you see like all my friends ended up going to universities, so you see like what they're doing, you talk to them, and you're like, dang, like I kind of want to do that. So how I got to Grambling, let's get into it. My best friend went to Grambling like after we graduated college. By fate, honestly, she ended up at Grambling, and when I say we, I mean myself and one of our other friends chose to go out there for Grambling's homecoming in 2016. No. So when we chose to go for homecoming, we went for about 4 days, and obviously, like, I don't know, it was lit, y'all. Like, we had to fly into Dallas. Okay, let me tell y'all. If y'all don't know where Grambling is, and when I say it's in Louisiana, don't think that like it's an hour from New Orleans or it's in New Orleans, or because it's not. Like, Grambling is 5 hours away from New Orleans. If you know about Shreveport or you've heard of Monroe, or I mean, a lot of people have heard about Shreveport, you know. So it's in between Shreveport and Monroe. It's a very small, like, little town that literally just has like the university and like black owned businesses and like college stuff. And like it doesn't really have much. Like there's not a store in Grambling, not like a grocery store. There was, but like I think that got shut down before I left. But there's not a store out there. Like, you know, you have to go to the next town, which is like 10 minutes away, but you have to go to Ruston to go get like fast food, go to the grocery store, whatever. So if you're going to New Orleans at all and you're coming from like Shreveport, I think there's only one way that you can get to New Orleans from Shreveport that I know of, and that way you're gonna pass Grambling. You just probably didn't take the exit 81 to go to Grambling. So that's where Graham is. And so when I got down there, we flew into Dallas. My friend picked us up, my best friend picked us up, drove back to Grambling, and man, when I say it was on, y'all, it was on. I ain't even gonna lie, like my best friend had texted us like, who y'all want, like what dudes y'all want, like sending us all these like black men and like their Twitters. Like it was like a whole bunch of stuff. So we like, you know, I was like, oh, I want him. Like I want him, you know. So that was part of it. That was the first excitement. And then the next exciting part, so homecoming week, if you've never been to an HBCU homecoming, big deal, a lot of fun, a lot of like turnt shit, like just a good time. So they have different days, and the days that I mainly remember were like the day, what is it called, it's like the like, it's when all the, what is it called, step show, yeah, the step show. Like, you know, all the Greeks, all the fraternities, sororities, they have their people, and they, you know, they like in their lines and they stroll in and all of that. So that was my first time ever seeing like real black sororities and fraternities. Like you see the Omegas and you see the Alphas and you see the Ks, the AKs, and the Deltas. You know, you see all of them, and it's not just the people who are currently at this school, but it's people who used to go to Grambling and cross that Grambling, and you know, you see that type of stuff. That was my first time ever really experiencing that in real life. You know, I've seen Stump the Yard, honey, but I ain't never seen it in person. So that was just like so cool to me. Like I was like, okay, like that's, you got the music playing. It's music that, being from Colorado, and like we listen to the same music that the people on the West Coast listen to. Like that's like the type of music that we listen to. So I wasn't listening to, like, granted I knew a couple artists that are from Louisiana, like the main ones, but you know, like the music that they was listening to, all those Boosie songs and like all the like other, just a whole bunch of other shit that they be listening to, that's like turn, and it's so much fun. I was not listening to that music, so there was a lot of songs that I had to like learn because I didn't know them. But you hear all that, like everybody's having a good time. The one thing that I really liked about the trip to Grambling for homecoming was everybody that I was meeting there was so nice. Like at the time, everybody was just like, hey, you want a shot? Hey, like everybody just in good spirits, good moods. I can honestly say, as much that has went on at Grambling, I never once have felt like unsafe. It just felt like family. Like it just felt like nobody was gonna let anything happen to me, and I can still say that, like, to this day. That's just the experience that I had at Grambling. So anyways, we're there for 4 days. It's lit. We get behind the stage, like at the concert. We was talking to Party Next Door. Jeremiah was back there, you know, like it was enough to get me like, this is where I want to be. Like, babe, this is where I'm going. So I went home and I told my mom, like, Mom, I want to go to Grambling. And she was like, go. So that's what happened. Fall 2017, I like was enrolled. Okay, that's a lie. I was enrolled in 2016, like, or no, spring of 2017. I was enrolled, but I got scared because I had like a car note and stuff, and I didn't know if I was gonna be able to get a job, and like I was scared, so I punked out, didn't go. And then I was like, that's a mistake. Like that's a mistake. I knew that was a mistake, so I went in fall 2017, and it changed my life. Like, I'm a dramatic person. already. But when I say that Grambling changed my life, it absolutely changed my life. It changed how I look at things, how I look at situations. It changed how I look at myself. It changed just like everything for me, like everything. I like going to an HBCU. I feel like is such an amazing experience. I think every Black person should experience that in some way, shape, or form, even if it's just visiting. Like I visited and I had an amazing time, and it showed me a different culture, showed me different groups of people. Like I still got to see something. So even though I wasn't there fully, like I got to see a different side of Black people and that world, and I fell in love with it enough to go. But you know, that may not be for everybody, but I just think everybody should experience it some way, fashion, or form, right? So anyways, I wrote down some questions just because these are just the main things that I really wanted to hit on telling you guys about this. So I told you guys how I got to Grambling. Why I chose Grambling was because homecoming was lit as hell, and I was like, I gotta go back. That's why I chose it, honestly. And I thought it was cool to be around all these Black people. Like, y'all, it was nothing but Black people. I'm from Colorado, y'all. I'm gonna keep saying this. Like, there's Black people here, but it ain't nothing like that. Like, there was so many Black people, and I just was like, oh my God. Like, I was in heaven, from the men to even just the beautiful women. Like, I was just like, this is so cool. Like, everybody, like, we are here. You know what I mean? For the most part, and I really appreciated that. So that's how I got there, why I chose it. So I will tell you guys, Grambling really did actually help me find my passion. I knew to a degree what I wanted to do with my life. I used to say I wanted to be a publicist, and then I started thinking like, well, I don't want to help somebody else's image look good. I want my own image to just be good. Like, I'm not trying to boost nobody else. So it went from like publicist, and then I was like, well, I don't know what I could do. So I had amazing professors that I really appreciated. Like, they were all older, but there was a lot of old knowledge there that was like cool to learn and know, almost like the foundation of things. But I had one specific teacher or professor. His name is Mr. Black. He was over our lab, the GSU lab, which is the online radio network. We have the radio station, and then we have the lab. He was over that. And I think he was at the time recruiting students to join the lab and things like that. There was already a whole bunch when I joined, but he asked me one day, like, well, you know, do you want to be a part of it? And I was like, without a doubt, like, I was like, yes. Like, I remember shaking my head, like, yes. Like, as soon as he asked, he couldn't even finish his sentence, and I was like, yes. At first I was like really nervous, so I just started to go to other people's shows and like see what they were doing, what they were talking about, like how their shows were formatted and how that kind of went. And it was a lot of fun. Like, it would be after school, you know, some shows are at like 6, 7, 8 o'clock, and like we were just in there kind of like laughing and talking and like enjoying everybody's company, you know, and like, you know, different opinions, and like it gets kind of heated in a good way, heated in a like, man, you tripping, like in that type of way. And so I just kind of observed for like a good year, I want to say. And then the next year, I remember like before I went back to school, I was like, I really want my own radio show. And so when I went back, I told him, I was like, I want my own radio show. And he was like, you need to put a proposal together. So I spent all the time thinking of this name, thinking of proposals, like, it was a lot of like thinking. And then I finally got my radio show together. That radio show was called Girls Interrupted. And it had, first I started off with my good friend Nyla, and we just had great like chemistry and like conversation. She's funny, like we just clicked. And then the second year of my show, we added our friend Jada, and Jada's a Leo. Like, everybody just fit so perfectly, and I just loved working with them. And that's when I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is who I want to be, what I want to do. So that's how I ended up finding like my passion. Now that the passion talk is out of the way, let's get to the fun. So Grambling was a lot of fun for me. I met a lot of people, a lot of different people from LA, people from Chicago, obviously people from Louisiana, like people just from all over. And I don't know. I talked about it in my episode with Jayana, just like how you move down south and they really like are looking at you like, oh, you fine, like say love, like they used to do that all the time. And you know, it made me appreciate my people for sure. Like I feel like I appreciated black people, but like now I'm like blackity black. Like you can't speak no bad. Like I am like, you know, like I am for my people, period. Like, and it shows that everything that I do, everything that I continue to do, and everything that I want to do is for my people, like, period. Um, so it gave me a different appreciation to black people and to like how fly we are, like just how fun we are, you know, like there's always these perceptions about how black people act, especially in different states and different parts of the world. And granted, some of that may be true, but overall, black people as a whole are just fucking amazing. Like, just dope ass people, can't be top type people, like top two, not two type people, the whole like race. Like, it's just fly as hell across the board. Like, and I don't know, like, I really just learned that. Like, I don't know. You know, I grew up with like so much not like, I guess like a little bit of self-hate, like honestly, like a little bit of self-hate, you know, like oh chocolate, oh like oh chocolate, like I don't want to be chocolate, you know. And then I got there and chocolate was like in, like it was like, yeah, like it was just in, and it honestly, y'all, like it just changed my outlook on black people as a whole, and especially on myself as a black woman or black young lady growing into a black woman. The dudes were fine. If you asking that question in your mind, yes, the dudes were fine. The dudes were fine. The dudes was fine. Like I could think of a couple off bat that I didn't talk to that I'm like, yeah, we don't have those where I'm from. Because we don't. Yeah, the dudes was fine, the parties was fun, the music was different and rowdy and loud, and Grambling just changed my life. Now there are some things that could be better, of course, with all schools, even those big schools that we're hearing about today that are lacking in some way, you know. Of course Grambling had its flaws, like there were certain things that lacked and still are lacking, but as far as personal experience, would I do it again 100 times over? Like when you ask me where I graduated from, or like my alma mater, sorry, is Grambling State University, period. The Grambling State University. We have the best band. Like period. Ain't no, you know, you can't mess with the world fame, like, you know, there's that. And that was another thing too, I didn't know how big the bands were, like out, like that's the thing, like you know, like I did not know any of that. And I was just seeing life in like a new eyeballs, like that's how it felt. Like everything was just fun and supportive and family like, and you know, I don't know, I met some amazing people. Grambling changed my life, y'all. Like I wish I could tell you guys more, but I feel like some things you just have to experience to understand. Not saying that has to be you experiencing an HBCU, but even just like living down south and experiencing the people, or you know, traveling and experiencing different people. I can't explain what it's like. I can just tell you that the shit changed my life in every way, shape, and fashion, and I'm so grateful for it. So, let me see. My favorite things about Grambling was definitely the culture. Like, never been to this is not a Grambling thing, this is a New Orleans thing, but I've never been to a Bayou Classic before, which involves Grambling's football team. Never been to a Bayou Classic before. Never been to a state fair in Dallas before, involves Grambling's team. Never been to a Mardi Gras, you know. Like, those are things that I've never been to, and things that I may not have ever went to, because I didn't really like care to, like, you know, go to Louisiana. Like, you know, It wasn't one of those places where I was like, yeah, I want to go here. You know what I mean? So I was able to see all of those things. Like, that's where you see how big of a deal the bands are and the football teams are. Like, down south, football ain't no joke. Like, and I knew that for white people, but I didn't know that for black people. Like, honestly, girl, now my earring just fell out. I think that more black people need to go to HBCUs, and I know that they do, but more black people who are from states like mine, like Colorado, I feel like we lack, not, I won't say that we lack that like self-love and self-appreciation, but in a way we kind of do, in a sense. I can't speak for everybody, but just the people that I've grown up around, the people that I'm friends with, you know, there's conversations that aren't always had that should be had, and things that aren't understood amongst black people that should be understood. And for me, getting that experience helped me understand a lot of those things that I'm talking about. And it all started with just a visit. So that fucking visit in 2016 shaped a lot of things. I don't know, honestly, I can't say that I would be the person that I am today if it was not for that. Like, I can honestly say that and mean it. So yeah, shout out to Grambling State University, because y'all the bomb diggity shit. Okay, all right, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for tuning in, thank you for watching. I know it's been a couple weeks, but y'all, cause what, I'm back. Hey, bye.